Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Fresh Scrappy beef going into the World Championship. We know full well that this year Scrappy and Drazah as a storyline has dominated the majority of the season discussion in terms of drama. There's been a few other ones though as well. Simp versus 04, Gunless versus Beans, among some others. But now it seems we might have an interesting new one going into the World Championship with Simp versus Scrappy himself. Simp having a few comments on Scrappy's movements. Scrappy gets kind of roasted for it. Scrap then claps back towards the end. It's definitely possible that Toronto and New York will play each other again this tournament. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, I thought this was kind of wild, right? It was going to be something like 1400 days for Major, basically to break his own streak or something for Major 4, that of course, unfortunately for Ravens, they didn't win. So the streak has continued. It was a pretty famous thing, right, during the Advanced Warfare through the end of the Jetpack era that Clayster, because there were so many events back then. Advanced Warfare, not really Black Ops 3, but Infinite Warfare, stuff like that, that, you know, Clay, among many other players, at least the top echelon of players that were world champions, like they would win events relatively often, right? And certainly given the fact that Clay was on OpTic during Ghosts, was a very tenured player, there was an expectation that certainly he'd be winning more often during the Jetpack era, but that FaZe clan team with himself and Attach and Zoom and Enable just didn't win during Black Ops 3, didn't win during Infinite Warfare. They did win the PlayStation Invitational, PSX, but that wasn't really counted as like an official major tournament. So, you know, it was considered that it was a 1400-day streak of not winning between Advanced Warfare and then Black Ops 4, the playoffs that he won, and then won the World Championship after that. So it's now been, since his last win, 1411 days. So he's actually broken that win drought from before. And yeah, I don't know what world it's going to take really for Clay to win an event, just given the way the league is nowadays and the fact that, you know, it's not like FaZe are probably going to go out and say, all right, Clay, you're the man to replace Drazah with or something to get us to the next level. They've tried that type of stuff. I'm not sure it's necessarily really worked. But I did have a few things to say on the Scrappy piece. We better get into it right about now. Only a few days away now, of course. This, by the way, is just the brackets. We will be discussing this Toronto versus Subliners potential matchup based on this Scrappy Simp. To be fair, there was a bit of back and forth between these guys a couple of months ago. We'll get into that as well, and it's continued over the last couple of days. So, Toronto are on the lower side of the bracket, Subliners are on the upper side of the bracket, because Subliners are the 4th seed, Toronto are the 2nd seed, OpTic 3rd seed, FaZe, of course, the number 1 seed. So, theoretically, FaZe have the best possible time. They'll probably beat Miami, and if they do, they'll play either Subliners or Surge. You know, that could be an interesting series, to be fair, but likely, I think New York should obviously be taking it, and then we'd get a rematch of the grand finals we just had, where at that point, genuinely, who knows what could be the case. But certainly for FaZe, yeah, number 1 seed, but it's not, you know, Subliners round 2, really any of the top teams round 2. It's always going to be a tricky game, assuming that is what happens. The lower side, though, OpTic, Gorillas, Ultra, Thieves, both of these games, I think, could be interesting. I don't expect Thieves to upset Toronto, but I think they could make it competitive. And OpTic versus Gorillas is genuinely a big question mark, because who knows what OpTic Texas are going to turn up this tournament and how they might well end up faring in the actual event itself, because, you know, this is the big one in front of the home crowd with all those storylines going in. But Ultra and Subliners on the opposite sides of the bracket, of course, they could play down in losers. They could play in the winners finals if Ultra were to win-win and if Subliners were to win-win. But I'm hoping that that might potentially happen. Before we get to the Sib clip, wanted to share this though from Scrappy, because, you know, the Adderall stuff, it's never going away as a discussion point here in Call of Duty, and Scrap kind of talks about how in the Challengers days for himself and of course for many other players, and this still applies to the Pro League as well, lots of players are basically on the beat, right? I mean, we've talked about this for years, it's always a discussion. In the Pro League, they apparently test for it. Well, apparently. I don't really know how good that testing is. There's some debate on, because if you've got like a prescription for it, then it's fine, and all these other things that we know happen behind the scenes in COD. And it's always one of these like open secrets in esports, but Scrappy talks quite openly about it right about here, and I'll share the clip in a second. He actually, well, Cruz quote tweeted this and said, if they implemented testing at Champs, half the teams wouldn't even be able to make it to their match call time. So, yeah, implying heavily that that if for, let's say, the Challenger side, they decided to test as they did as they do in the Pro League, and even, you know, I think definitely I would at least hope that this is the case. The amount of players using it in the league, the actual CDL, is far fewer than it was a few years ago. I think many players have kind of said that, yeah, after they quit Adderall, they actually were, you know, either performing on the same level or better, and they were just way healthier mentally and physically. Then it was taking a big toll on their health, right? And you can certainly see why if you look into the compound, whatever. Not going to go into that again. But as Cruz says, if they implemented testing at Challengers Champs, like half of these teams would be chalked. So I think it's pretty concerning, and maybe the league needs to have a little bit of a think about that, to be honest, what exactly they do about this situation. But of course, players have their alternatives. You know, they get the Zins in, they get, you know, which obviously has become pretty popular nowadays, even amongst some of the players. Get your caffeine in, or like a Celsius or whatever those crazy strong energy drinks are nowadays, right? But it's always been a discussion, and even I found a couple of tweets here from Slasher from back in 2020 talking about some hackers at the time, actual like proper hackers, and he says, yeah, it seems like it's really easy to get away with, just like you know, the pills, as he's talking about here, obviously not wanting to be super explicit. And of course there was a big drama as well at the start of 2023 on this, when Drazah and Slasher were having a back and forth. Funny how this worked out, right? Because now Drazah's on FaZe, Slasher of course at the time was on FaZe, and Cellium was potentially stair glitching this, and maybe he was only crouching. They had some drama on it, and at the end of the comment thread, basically Slasher says, only responding to a little bit of what I said, can't say I'm surprised, and drops the pill emoji again. So that's been the implication, right? And that probably ain't going away anytime soon. But let me share a couple of other clips here, certainly what Scrappy had to say back to Sib on this whole back and forth.
Have you tried it? I'll be honest, I took it in Challengers, bro. I took it in Challengers for only tournaments, like lands. Like, I don't take it anymore, bro. I drink straight water now, man. I don't take any caffeine. I take it for tournaments only, bro, but that shit is so bad for you, bro. Ricky, you're right, man. That shit is so bad for you, bro. Like, if anyone in here, bro, I do not recommend ever trying to take it to play a video game, bro. Don't get yourself onto that shit, man. That shit's real bad for you, bro. That's why you were wilding in the pit? What? Nah, bro. That shit had no effect on me screaming at people, bro. Like, well, I've been doing this shit my whole life.
Yeah, but Ernie has bot movement, so like he has his ultimate iron or bot movement, so he doesn't need anything. He has no left stick, and he's perma jumping. Ernie don't even got a circle button on his controller. Motherfucker took that hoe out. He ain't even got a circle button on that bitch. Only give me a controller with an X button on that one. No triangle, no circle. There's a reload button and an X button, and I'm good.
Bro, what the fuck am I hearing, bro? What the fuck am I hearing, bro?
The other day, it was a high-rise control. You drop-shotted me for the game. You drop-shotted me, slide, cancel, drop shot. Me and HyDra Animal were like, wow. Wow, Ernie.
Bro.
Wow. You're adding shit to your bag.
Stiff.
I respect it.
I'm just an all-around player. I don't know what to tell you.
I respect it. But you don't even need it. That's the thing.
Bro, what do you mean I don't slide? What do you mean I don't?
You don't drop shot.
Bro, what do you mean I don't slide, bro?
Yo, last guy Ernie alive, he's gonna jump at you, and you're drop shotting just cause I know you're gonna jump for the fun of it.
You're brain dead.
Won a gunfight if you jumped at me anyways, but
you're so brain dead.
You decided to slide cancel a drop shot.
Dude.
How many slide cancel drop shots do you average a day? Be honest.
Slide cancel drop shot?
You ain't averaging over 2. I promise.
Nah, I got more than 2. I got more than 2 for sure. I got more than 2. Yo, Dante, fix your smoke alarm, bro.
All right, let me close my door. I'll be back.
Not gonna lie, the smoke alarm clapback was pretty funny. I don't know if you guys remember, but Sib joined the Dope Check show a little while ago. I think he's been on a couple of times, and on our show a couple of times. And the first time, you could hear the smoke alarm like pipping in the background. Like when it's low on battery, like it will tell you like, hey, you better change the batteries or I'm gonna die kind of quickly. And you know, I don't know, it's common, like it's a meme, it's gone around, people like not checking it properly or whatever. And I think people were telling Sib like, hey, let's get this smoke vocal object, and obviously Scrappy claps back with the same thing at the end of this. But nonetheless, what do you guys think about this? Just because it's a bit of an update on what happened a little while ago now, when this is, basically towards the end of May, actually, just after, around the Toronto event, to be fair. And as Sib said, Scrappy wouldn't get as many kills if his teammates played faster. So Sib was making the point, because at the time, let's not forget, Subliners weren't looking so good, and Toronto had, okay, sure, OpTic beat them in the finals, but, they'd made the finals at the home event, they were looking really good. They'd taken down FaZe in 5, obviously that crazy Rio search and destroy where Scrappy got the kill against Drazah and everything like that. And obviously Scrappy still, it remains true to the present day. Incredible numbers, incredible delivery, damage, kills per 10 minutes, everything you'd want from like a fast-paced AR player, Scrappy is going to give you. But Sib's argument was at the time, well, Scrappy wouldn't look as good if his teammates played faster, right? Like if Insight was a faster player. Then again, though, CleanX is pretty rapid. Envoy, I don't think is slow. Okay, he looks slow compared to CleanX, but I don't really think there's anything too much to be said in that, just because, CleanX is absolutely rapid, but Insight, sure, he is a slow AR, and maybe Sib is right to say that he wouldn't get as many kills. And to be fair, shortly after this clip came out from Sib went on to, start frying, right? Like, this guy really turned up over the last couple of months here, going into the World Championship, but at the time, Sib was kind of getting roasted for this, because New York weren't doing so well, and Scrappy, it almost seemed like he was coming at Scrappy for no real reason. I know that Scrappy ended up responding to this on one of their, it's not called the game chat, but whatever it is, right? Effectively, when the Toronto guys get the 4 guys around the desk and they do in that OpTic style, I know Scrappy had some few words to say for Sib on this, and the boys on Toronto discussed it at the time. So fast forward to the present day, and now we've got Sib talking about Scrappy's movements, saying, oh, this guy just jumps around, he doesn't know how to drop shot, he doesn't know how to, go around a corner, slide into a drop shot and all this, and, again, kind of implying, look, maybe I'm the stronger AR player because maybe my movement's better than Scrappy's or whatever. Now, certain things work in certain games, right? And obviously, for the last few titles, the drop shot, while it can be still viable on occasion, it's not as dominant as it used to be back in the day. I kind of liked what they did with the drop shots. If you guys even remember back in Black Ops 2, when it was so dominant before Black Ops 2, and it was still good in Black Ops 2, but if you guys aren't aware, if you drop shot it in Black Ops 2, your weapon would start firing with the accuracy of hip fire as you dropped down for maybe half a second or something. So if you drop shot it in Black Ops 2, it wasn't perfectly as precise as it might have been, which kind of changed up the way the meta has played that game. Black Ops 3, of course, was a bit different again, because when you tried to go prone, you had to bring your hand out to go prone. So effectively, Treyarch in that game kills the drop shot, but over the last few titles, it has been back, and I don't mind it. I think the jump shot is probably a bit cleaner. Scrappy obviously uses it more often, but Sib's trying to roast him a bit. But I'm definitely interested to know your thoughts in the comment section in terms of what you think may well happen here come the World Championship, because we looked at the brackets, they are on opposite sides of the bracket, and we just saw Thieves there a second ago, 7th seed at the World Championship, 17-20 record on the season. The issue, I guess, is for Thieves playing Toronto round 1 is that Thieves have only beaten one team all year who are a top 4 team, and that came very recently against the Subliners. They reverse swept them on that final game going into Major 4, which, again, made me think, wow, New York, it's going to be pretty unlikely they win this event as a result of that, but no, turns out they did it anyway. So Thieves do have a recent win against a top team, but certainly on LAN, certainly with fans, and not just fans, but the biggest crowd, one of the biggest crowds we're probably going to ever have in COD on a circular station, seems to me that Thieves' chances of actually winning this series are somewhat reduced. So I think Ultra will get through that one. I also think that Toronto are probably the favourites to win the next series regardless. Yes, they lost to Gorillas back at, let's say Gorillas were to win, right, but they lost to Gorillas back at Major 4 in the first rounds, but I think in a rematch their Ultra would be favoured, and even if OpTic beat Gorillas, they are going to be OpTic are going to be underdogs in whoever top 4 team they play, just because they came top 12 last event. So, Ultra would be the favoured team on paper to get through to the winners finals, and the most recent time Subliners played FaZe, they beat them. So it's not impossible here that we get a Sib versus Scrappy situation that emerges, and, hopefully it does, because I'm sure it would be very entertaining for all involved. But very much interested your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. I guess there was also a question, because we did talk about the Esports Awards Okay, the Breaking Point Awards show that we're doing with the flank at the end of the season. If you guys haven't voted in this yet, feel free to do so. You can vote for everything. I think basically the way that it worked for the regular season voting is that like the fans can vote on them, but the fan vote isn't like prioritized too high as it will be on the fan voted awards for best player of the year, whatever. We could have also included here like best drama of the year or something like that, but I think there would have been a very clear-cut winner, either Scrap versus Drazah, or even you could argue Keeks versus Darian, I guess is another one. But also for that, what I'd want to do is give out awards in person to say, oh, congratulations, Scrappy, congratulations, Drazah, here are your awards. But, you know, you probably couldn't get both of them in the same place at the same time right now. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.